देव ने बोला कि उन्हीं में से दो।
Good morning, Mousumi ma'am.
Hi, good morning to all of you.
Yeah, hi. I've made you the host. You can check if you are able to share the screen.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I'll do that. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
Good afternoon, all. Shall we start our session now? Yeah, I think many of us are yet to join, but some other people we have already joined us. So we can start our session, and the people who are yet to join, they can join later, and they will catch us up, catch up with us. Okay, I'll just share my slides, and then we will start. Somebody kindly confirm that you are able to see the slides.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So this is what we have been discussing in our last session. We were talking about the various types of audiovisual material based on the different categories. And here, what I have done, I'll just make it a bigger one. Yeah. Just 1 second. Yeah. Here, what I have done based on the traditional responsiveness, I have categorized the audiovisual material into 3 different categories. One is audio, one is video, and the third one is audiovisual. As you can see in the audio, we are having the recorded lecture, recorded message, telephone call, telemessages, and so on. In case of video, audiovisual material, we are having the chart, black and white board, sorry for the typo, picture, print material, and so on. And in case of audio visual, we are having LCD projector, television, computer, multimedia, and so on and so forth. Now, computer or system, as we were discussing in our last session, is becoming a very important feature for our presentation today. And many of us are actually using the same in various format, including using the artificial intelligence. So these are the tips for effective usage of some important audiovisual aids, starting with Microsoft PowerPoint, or if you're using Power BI. What are the different type of tips we can get in terms of making the presentation more effective? It has been mentioned here. I understand that we all know most of the things, so I will request you all to just brush through the points which I have mentioned in the slide. Then we will move on. In case any point is not clear, please raise your hand so that we can clarify. They all are self-explanatory, I'm sure. However, in case any point you have, you can ask me. Okay, just quickly brush through and then we'll move to the next slide. It is about the PPT presentations by using the Microsoft PowerPoint or Power BI or anything for that matter. Yeah. The next slide talks about the other 2 types of crucial tools which we use. One is whiteboard and one is handout. There also the tips for effective usage has been mentioned. Please have a look. Even today, I found whiteboards are pretty handy in terms of training people, especially when we are training a small group of people and we are discussing about certain behavioral intervention, or when you are trying to create a simulation through the role play, etc. Instead of actually showing the predetermined or pre-decided PPT or audiovisual clip, whiteboard actually becomes a pretty dynamic mode of tool, and people, when the audience or the observers, when they're giving the various points, they're contributing, it is really nice for the trainer to actually note down, and in a dynamic situation for each of the point can be picked up, and later on again it can be discussed and pondered upon, and that can actually kind of give a very nice feeling to the audience that they are also taking active participation in the presentation or in the training, and they are also contributing towards the I would say the development of the content of the training. So that gives a very nice feeling. Though whiteboard usage may not be very much apt when you're having a bigger number of audience, I mean larger size of audience, which crosses more than, which crosses 20, perhaps beyond 20, it is very difficult to actually manage with the whiteboard, because people who are sitting at the back or who are little far away from the training podium, perhaps it is not possible for them to look at each and every word what the trainer is mentioning. But nevertheless, if it is a smaller group, definitely it is going to be pretty handy. Handout is something which, as a trainer, I always prefer for two reasons. One, of course, my personal experience is, if we are providing handout before the training session, it is a kind of indication to the audience that the trainer is serious about the training session. The trainer has already done the homework, and the trainer is expecting the audience to do the same. Okay, I don't know about your experience. Anybody has seen that distribution of handout creates the positive or negative impact or non-impact at all? Any thought about it? Any experience from your side, guys? During your presentation or your training session, you have actually used handout, and what is your experience?
Good afternoon, ma'am. This is Shiv.
Yeah.
First of all, Shubha Navavarsha. And
Thank you.
yes,
Thank you. Same to you.
and with regards to handout, I believe that depending on when we are giving out the handouts, it may help in both the ways. Like at the start, we can use it probably for like a workbook, and at the end, if we are distributing it, we can tell them that this is a concise information or a summarization or some points that you can take away with you when they are finishing off the training session. So we have to clearly inform them what the handout is about, and then probably it will impact accordingly.
Very
Right.
true. Anybody else?
Yes, ma'am. Sometimes for me, handout helping or supporting the audience to link the outcomes with their interest. So after getting a handout, they can coordinate and create a link. What is the content and how it is helping in my profile, job profile, or any other ways.
Very nice. Anybody else? Anybody? Well, very nicely mentioned, very nicely put. Actually, yes, I also fully agree with you. In case of this, just 1 minute, I think I've changed the slide. Yeah. In case of handout, yes, if we provide the handout before the training, or if we provide the handout after the training, it works in very two different ways. The first one, if you are giving the handout at the beginning of the training, the trainees or the audience, they will have a kind of directed idea about what they can expect from the training session. And if we are providing the handout at the end of the training session, it is understood that after finishing the training, what will be the future direction for them? What will be the learning they should actually start, or they should continue the journey of learning? So that is there. But then if we try to see both the sides, or both the types of time when we maintain to give the handout, they both come pretty handy. And I have found out in either case, it actually helps the trainer. Okay. Now, one more point also nowadays I'm seeing, in fact, I started following that. Instead of providing the paper handout, which I'm sure most of us will do, following the green environment concept, and providing the environment friendly, I would say training. Instead of giving the paper trainer handouts, we generally provide the soft copy of handout by email or something, or maybe in a CD or in a pen drive. I also sometimes what I do, I download some of the material which are available in the public domain, and I generally give the web link to the audience, so that at a later state of time, whenever they feel like their there's a convenient time, they can go to the website and they read that. So that also gives lot of, I would say, green environment feeling. One more thing also happens, handout also gives the trainers a chance to taste whether the audience is with us or not. For example, during the training, if you give some handout and if you ask them to do a small exercise, for example, you are giving a small pop quiz, that can be also a part of your handout. And maybe, only 5 questions are there. Maybe the multiple choice questions are there, either 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or yes or no, whatever the way it is. If you give them and you just say, okay, you just finish this quiz, and then who is the winner, how fast you can finish this particular quiz, that will not only create a kind of positive vibe, but also it makes the audience become more participant. And they will be on their toes, let me put it this way. So it will be not a kind of passive attitude that, okay, the trainer is continuously talking, let the trainer continue the discussion and I will learn later. Instead of doing that, real time they will try to learn, because they have to finish the exercise which has been given in the handout. Yeah. The other is video clip. Of course, we have talked a lot about video clip. Just quickly have a look. And then flip chart. Flip chart is also very dynamic, because you do not know what you're going to write there. It depends on how the participants are reacting, how they are actually taking the content of the session. And sometimes if it is needed that the trainer's intervention has to be recorded, or the observers interventions have to be recorded, that will be done in the flip chart, and that comes pretty handy. I know at this time of space where we are talking about systems and artificial intelligence, sometimes this whiteboard and flip chart feels like they are perhaps redundant, or too much manual perhaps, but then they come pretty handy when we are conducting the sessions, and they help quite a lot to build a bridge between the trainer and the audience. I have seen that, especially when you are conducting the training session or presentations offline. Online, they are not possible, but online, sorry, online not possible, but offline, when you are conducting these things, they actually create a very nice vibe, and people feel nice about it, that my words are getting recorded, and the trainer is being, is nice enough to discuss about those points, and so on and so forth. Other than that, people who do a lot of presentations on their products, okay, perhaps new product launch or something, or modified product, or any change in the product features, etc., you can even show that particular product or object, and that will be a type of visual audio AV aid, and they are pretty useful aid. For a smaller audience, that works fantastic. For a larger audience, you can use the 3D version of the product, or you can show a bigger screen to show the product and explain the different features of the product. But personally speaking, I have seen, if it is a smaller audience and you actually place one product or an object on the table, it is always nice that the people actually come forward and they discuss about the different features of it, and they deliberate on various ways of doing the sales pitch and so on. I have seen this working really fantastic when the sales pitch for a new product, this kind of training session is being conducted. They are really effective. The other things are pictures, photos, posters, graphs, etc. Audio CDs, podcast, movies, movie clips, these all we have discussed in our last session. I will request you guys to just kindly go through this. In case any question you have, we can always come back and discuss. This is an example of a wrongly prepared content of a PPT slide. Um, as you can see, we are unable to read most of the things really, because that's my, my whole intention. Majority of us still depend on the PPT presentations, though we are having our chat GPT and other artificial intelligence tools to prepare the audiovisual aids. But at the end of the day, it is us who will decide what will be the content in one particular PPT, what are the content you want to keep, what are the colors, etc. They will give the suggestions, but eventually we have to pick up. So some of the things which we need to remember is this. Okay, so PowerPoint slides we'll be discussing. How I guess all of us, we have been using the PowerPoint slides at some point of time during our presentation or training session. So basically, they help the trainer or presenter to explain or narrate or summarize the points. It enables the audience to look, listen, and learn by doing. But I have found certain, drawbacks also for using the PowerPoint slides. Anybody wants to comment what could be the drawbacks for that matter? Drawbacks of using PowerPoint slides. Anybody? Anybody has experienced? Anytime it has happened that you are showing the PowerPoint slides and you felt like, the audience is not with you, and for certain reasons that actually happened. What do you
Uh,
think the
Good
reasons may
afternoon,
be?
ma'am. If you may allow, may I?
Please, yeah.
So basically, sometime when we go ahead with the compliance and policy trainings in the corporate, so many a time we need to put those policies in an elaborated way onto the presentation. And you know what happens? The audience actually just read and lose the interest within that. So that is where I personally felt that if it is already displayed, they don't pay attention on the main concern what we are trying to do.
Okay, very nice point. I fully agree with you. In fact, when we organize the training sessions, just an example, a few days back, we were organizing the training session on this POSH, that prevention of sexual harassment at workplace, that particular law. And then, of course, the detail of the law, we have not shown in the PPT because the very basic nuances of the law were mentioning. I'm just giving my example. A few days back, I was doing that, and then people are busy in reading what is there in the PPT content rather than listening to me or paying attention to what I try to intend to say. So I'm absolutely with you. Yes, so people are busy in reading rather than listening to the trainer as well. Yeah, sure. Anybody else? I have also seen one more thing. If the PPT slide contains too much information, then people lose interest. Okay, sometime back, I think in the last session, so one of our friends was mentioning that if it is too technical to discuss verbally, then we will try to show in a flow chart or in a diagram or maybe in a fishbone structure, perhaps, to show what are the technicalities when we are discussing about those things. But if it is too technical on the PPT slide, people again lose interest because, nowadays the attention span, let us put it this way, the attention span of ourselves are getting pretty lesser. Okay, so therefore I prefer that instead of talking about very complicated frameworks or pictures or diagrams on the PPT slide, it is always better to complement the same in the handout so that people actually keep that for their reference later on, and in case any clarification is needed, they get back to it. There is one more problem. Yeah, somebody wants to say something?
Madam, are you sharing any slide?
No, I have not. I have stopped sharing the slide now.
Okay, done.
Because we are discussing, that is why.
Yeah, I think, ma'am, one more challenge could be that if we have a lot of PPT slides, like even the point of like if I have created those slides, slides, and if I'm a tenured trainer, I can understand. But sometimes there are some presenters or facilitators or trainers who believe in the slides so much that they don't, I have seen that happen, that they don't even prepare for the, training or the slides. They read it out from the slides. And if anything goes haywire, even like if one thing is missing on the slide, they may not even say it because they are dependent on the slides so much.
Absolutely. In fact, I will give you one very, not very pleasant example, but I have seen some people using the PPT slide as a kind of written down or predetermined script, and from there they simply read verbatim. They read word by word, and that is the way they conduct the sessions or they give the presentation. And as a result of that, I have seen for 1 hour session, people are using the PPT slides even up to 90 slides. I mean, just imagine, not even one slide per 1 minute. It is actually 1.5 slide per minute. So you can imagine the kind of rush the trainer is to finish reading the slide itself. Instead of explaining the point by point, they actually go beyond it. They simply read it out. And that, nothing can be more boring than that. Nothing can be less productive than that when it comes for communication and presentation skill. I'm absolutely with you. Any other thought? No? One more thing also I have seen in that there's a big challenge of the for the presenter or the trainer when they're using the PPT slides. Many of us, we have a tendency to actually turn back and look towards the projection of the PPT slide and showing the back to the audience. Okay, anybody has seen that? Anybody has the experience of watching your maybe colleague or doing that?
Yes, ma'am. I had experience in one of the training session I have attended, wherein the trainer actually was completely with his presentation only, not with the audience. So yes, it actually creates a kind of disconnect in between the facilitator and the trainees within themselves.
Absolutely. And also one more thing I have noticed, many people have a tendency while showing the PPT slide, they have a tendency to sit in front of the system and then look at the screen of the laptop or the system and using the mouse and not maintaining the eye contact with the audience. So that actually a fantastic example what we should not do. Okay, because the most important thing about communication and presentation skill is to create a connect, create a bridge between the trainer or the presenter and the audience. And to do that, the best thing to do is maintain the eye contact from time to time. Okay, so PPT slides are definitely most welcome, but then if we do not know how to use it, or rather, let me put it this way, if we overuse it, then it can create a lot of problem. Okay, now I'm sharing the screen. I'm sure you are able to see that. So let's quickly try to touch base on the example. Sorry, I beg your pardon. Try to see what are the things we should be remembering when we are preparing these kind of slides. Generally, these are some of the tips. Most of us, we know that. I will not, bore you with all the points, reading them out. Just go through it, and in case any problem is there, please do ask me. Okay. Long sentences should be avoided. I have seen, in case of certain training session where you are actually using some policy. When somebody was mentioning about the training on company policy or some law or something, verbatim, you have to copy and paste on the PowerPoint slide because you cannot change the words. If that is the case, because it is a policy or it is a law, there you cannot do anything. Okay, your hands are tied. But wherever possible, in case you are explaining any concept or in case you are explaining any intervention, it is always better to actually make it in a smaller sentence, okay, or with less number of words and in bullet points. These are also some of the tips. Now, these animations I found pretty interesting actually. I'm sharing my experience as a trainer and as a faculty member. In either case, I have seen animation actually gives lot of, I would say, comic relief, if you will. Okay, and it creates lot of interest among audience's mind, and they feel more positively charged when they listen to the presenter. But then if the animation is too loud, or if the animation is out of place, or it is too lengthy, okay, then there will be a disconnect between the audience and the trainer again, because eventually at the end of the day we have to remember one thing: the training, the presentation, or the deliberate attempt of communicating to the audience, it is not about showing the PPT or making the PPTs colorful or the audiovisual aids colorful. It is about what the value addition the trainer is able to give. Okay, it is about the trainer, it is not about the AV tool. AV tool is only going to be aiding the training session. They cannot be the center of attraction. That we need to be extremely careful on. Okay, I have seen people using various type of font colors. I have seen people are using different type of charts, diagrams, bars, this and that. All these things are fantastic. They definitely create good vibes, but then it is about the person or the trainer or the presenter who is actually communicating. Please do not forget, communication is all about the sender and receiver of the message. Sender is using the audiovisual tool only as an aid, but the aid cannot become the message itself or the sender itself. We have to be very, very careful about that. Okay. In order to do that, the presenters need to keep in mind that audiovisual illustrations should be spaced throughout the presentation. Okay, there is nothing wrong if you are showing the PPT slide at the back and you are standing in front of the audience and talking to them and discussing about the content of the presentation. But from time to time, it is okay to check your PPT slide or to change the slide, but then do not pay full attention to the slide, because then it will create a I would say disconnect between the audience and the trainer. You need to maintain the eye contact. Guys, just out of curiosity, I want to know if somebody wants to say how you like to maintain the eye contact. What is the technique you follow while you are talking to people? Maybe you are in a meeting, you are trying to talk to people. Maybe you are giving a sales speech. Maybe you are in a meeting where some audience is listening to you. Maybe you are conducting a training session. These kind of situations, when you are communicating with people, presenting some content, how you like to maintain the eye contact with your audience? What technique do you follow? Can we have some volunteers here, please?
May I, ma'am?
Yeah. It is Bharti, is it?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
So basically, if it is one-on-one conversation, we usually maintain the constant eye contact with the person, but it should not be very steady, and it should not be very uncomfortable that someone is feeling that we are just focusing on that one person. But when it comes to group, I usually maintain the 180-degree eye contact, so including all the group member in the all the group member while interacting with them. So it is like 180, maybe from right to left or left to right. This is what approach I am using so far when I'm conducting a session.
Okay, great. Anybody else?
Even while having a 180-degree eye contact, it should not be at one particular participant or learner for longer duration. It should be everyone should feel engaged and everyone should feel connected, so that the way it should be done.
Okay, very
Yeah, agreed,
interesting.
Bharat. Totally agree.
Bharat, fantastic point. Bharti and Bharat, both of them have said a very important point. But let me just ask you, if we try to do that, let's assume we are having around 30 people in our audience, and we are trying to create that connect with the audience. And Bharat said that it is not appropriate to actually look at somebody constantly. Instead of that, we have to engage everybody, or at least the larger audience. How exactly we do that? What is the technique?
So it is all depend when somebody is trying to add the value over there as a participant. You have to look at that person. At the same time, the one who is so much introvert and could not able to talk and could not able to express, there also you can keep kind of navigating your eye, and sometimes you can just bring that person in the conversation by asking some of the other things. So it is all depend upon the expression and the what you call is the participation of the participant and learner. You have to navigate your eye accordingly. It is not in a particular design fashion. It can be in any fashion, can be in zigzag, but it is more of like everyone should feel engaged, and yeah, everyone should feel engaged.
Fantastic, very nice point. Two very crucial points what Bharat has mentioned. One is acknowledging and recognizing the contributor in the group who is actively participating. If we do that, you are actually motivating the person and like-minded people that yes, start contributing more and more, and you will be acknowledged. It is going to be kind of ego booster and moral massager, if you will. The other point what you have mentioned, that is people who are not able to actually contribute, or people who are feeling shy perhaps not to talk to talk in public, you are actually trying to maintain the eye contact, and indirectly or directly you are sending a kind of message that please be with us, please start contributing, because you are also very important for our session. Okay, so it is also going to be a psychological big moral booster. And both the type of members in the audience, they're very important members, and then the whole audience will feel yes, they are with you. So fantastic points. Anybody else?
And we can use 50 by 70 rule, 50% while speaking and 70% while listening.
Sorry, say again.
We can use the 50 by 70 technique. 50% while we are speaking, giving our views, and 70% while we are listening to the audience in the
So
case of eye contact.
okay, 50% and 70% put together, it becomes 120.
That's okay.
So that's okay, fine. But then when you're talking about the percentage, we generally try to sum it up with 100. So if we are having total, let's say 100 as a numerical value of our session time, then you are saying that some percentage we have to listen, some percentage we have to speak. That's what you are trying
Correct.
to say.
Correct. Right. Right.
Fantastic, very well said, very well said. In fact, in our effectiveness in communication, there was a thumb rule. Nowadays, it does not, because now everything is changing and the span of attention is getting very much lesser, if you will. Earlier, we used to say to become effective communicator, at least 70% of our communication time should be devoted towards listening, because listening will give you the idea that what should be our next modus operandi to engage the audience. And listening means, I'm saying, active listening, which we have discussed in our last session, is not it? So very well said, Jogal. Anybody else?
Even ma'am, while maintaining eye contact, your body gesture and posture, and along with your facial expression, plays a vital role, because you are maintaining eye contact, but you are having a close gesture, close facial expression, like eyebrows with a tense look or something that gives a negative impression. So it's an overall body language which matters when it comes to an interaction.
Fantastic. Body language is a point which we are going to come back today a little later during our session. But very important point. Thank you, Bharti, for bringing that up. Anybody else? Okay, no. Fantastic points. Let me just share this screen and then we will continue. Yeah. The next one is, of course, relevance. what I know as a trainer or as a communicator, that's not important. What the audience needs to know, what is the objective of the presentation, what is the objective of the meeting, what is the objective we want to achieve, that's called relevance. For example, when we are having, let's say, somebody was mentioning in the other day about the, the customer complaint session after the, I think the term which was being used, I was not able to remember. The customers lodge their observation, and then through the role play we try to learn how to resolve the problems. Let's call it, for our today's session, let's say, handling the difficult customers. Okay, some customers, they have purchased our products, and let's say they are not happy with the products, and they have come back, or they have called, and they're trying to kind of create a situation. And we know our sales people, and we have to train them, or we have to tell them how to deal with these difficult customers, or the customers with the errant behavior. Now, the importance or the significance of this training session is not about the sales technique. It is about telling them how to impart compassion and empathy, because that's what the difficult customers are looking for right now. The customers have already purchased their products, yeah, and they're not happy for whatever reason, that may be right, wrong, or whatever. But then somehow the sales executives or the after sales executives, it is their responsibility to actually pacify the anger or the irritation of these customers, because at that point of time when the customers come and talk, or when they give a call to these people, the executives, they are the direct brand ambassadors of the company. Okay, it is not going to be the product quality what the customers will remember. They will remember the behavior of these executives, how they have been treated. Okay, so the relevance of the content of the training is also extremely crucial, and we have to remember about that. Teaching material needs to be simplified. It is not important to show how much knowledgeable the presenter is, or it is not important to show how much knowledgeable the communicator is. It is important to show what is the appropriateness of the product or the content of the message. I give you a very small example. Let's say, just an example, let's say my company manufactures toothpaste. Okay, toothpaste is getting used by everybody, and toothpaste is one product. I do not know whether you are aware about it or not, but toothpaste is a product where the change of brand happens very less. Okay, not every day we change the brand of toothpaste, but then getting into that particular business is a big challenge, because there are a lot of competitors. Yeah, now let's assume my company is doing pretty good, and it has got certain established products, and the product lines is pretty nice, and people are already purchasing it, and we have reached the maturity in the market segment, where we are maybe not the market leader, but we are doing pretty good. Yeah, now let's assume that our company is planning to launch that little different type of toothpaste, where they have used certain different type of ingredients which will make the teeth look whiter. Okay, let's assume that the sales pitch what you want to give, or when you are showing that particular toothpaste, the demonstration of the toothpaste, if you continuously talk about the technicality of the chemicals or the products or the substances which are being used in that new version of the toothpaste, that will create an impact where you are knowing a lot of things, you are knowledgeable, but people will be interested to know what is the consequence of using that substance. Okay, why you are going to use it. If you take a case of, let's say, Colgate salt, yeah, I'm sure you must have used it, or you must have heard about it. In our childhood days, when we used to not feel good, sometimes our mothers used to, I mean, I do not know whether it happened with you, but it happened with me. My mother used to tell that you don't want to have because that time the technology was not there, perhaps, where the child's mouth, according to the requirement of the softness of the mouth, the taste of the toothpaste used to be softened. They were very, I would say, very how do I put it? The taste was not very delicate. Let me put it this way. So sometimes the child may not like to use that toothpaste. My mother used to tell, instead of using the toothpaste, if you're not well, why don't you use the oil and salt? Okay, salt actually is used as a kind of anti-germ substance. The same principle has been used by the toothpaste manufacturer, where they're using this sea salt and things like that. Therefore, instead of talking about the usage of the substance and the chemical, I would say, the property of salt, if we start with the storyline, like your personal experience, like I just did about my childhood, if you start saying that, and in between you bring the usage of the substance, or or let's say the appropriateness or the property of the substance, perhaps that will create more interest in the audience's mind. So make the teaching material or the technical material so simple that people can actually relate. Okay, anybody wants to come up with an example that you have done in past and you gave your personal experience, or maybe your example from your friends or relatives experience, where you saw that the audience were relating more with you and it was more fun?
For behavior, I can give you an example. Like,
Yeah.
I am in pharma industry, so my customer are basically healthcare professionals. So we are. I was just visiting one of our customer, and I asked him which factors make you to prescribe or to purchase any product. So he says it depends upon three factors: A, B, C. So, many sir, can you please sir elaborate? So he said A for availability, how much product your product is available in the market. B is behavior, and C is its clinical efficacy, its content, its
Hmm.
composition. So I
Okay.
said, out of these three factors, which factor is more important? He said, behavior of representative is more important for us because any can two companies having the same composition, same product, but the behavior of representative is more important for us, followed by the content and availability.
Hmm. Very
So that
nice.
was
Very nice. Yes. The best part is the clinical property that has
uh,
gone to the third position.
that's got the second position.
Yes.
First is the behavior.
Yes. 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 Anybody else?
So, for example, per se, what example you have given, ma'am? Okay, there are so many example like that, which is there in the Indian culture per se. As you said, the salt with mustard oil, and maybe some of people were using the charcoal, right? And then it was
Have
adopted by
you,
the
Bharat, have you used that mustard oil and salt? Because I did not mention mustard oil. I said only oil.
Fortunately, we are of those generation
Yeah.
who experienced the very old things, and we are experiencing the very new technology both.
Yes. Yes.
So, yeah, I experienced that. Um,
Yes.
I would like to quote one example that when the generally it happens to many industries, but I'm talking to as a pharma industry. When the person is representing a product, and some of the customer who are very relation oriented and very goody goody to the people, they used to say, yes, I'm giving a support, and though they are not giving, and outside vendor is saying that no, I'm not getting any product, so it is not there. So how to handle that situation? So I first create this question in front of the learner and participant. They could able to relate, because it is even nowadays it is a fact. So they think of that situation, and they come up with saying, yes sir, this is happening with us also, and what can be done over there. So the story used to be like can be sharing experience when the customer said like that only, and handled with maybe different tactics. Let's say example per se, I would say, if is customer saying yes, he is giving a support but not giving, then you can have a kind of conversation and using other tool. For example, per se, let's say a campaign which help us to get a live prescription and demo of that product. So that
Absolutely.
can be the things, and maybe really making that customer feel proud about it, but ensuring that the message also conveys. So for example, doctor, you or you are writing the product, however your patient are having so much pain to get it 2 kilometer away from this place. So today I decided to help you out to your patient by ensuring the product availability. By so you can just give a prescription, and as you are giving already, and I am here to help out your patient to get the product at as soon as possible. So
Absolutely.
this is one kind of example.
Very nice. In fact, you actually has brought a very important point, that sending the message or sending across the message through certain campaigning, etc. I mean, I'm sure we all remember the advertisement of, I'm not doing any propaganda of any particular brand. Please don't misunderstand me. Neither I'm talking in favor of any product, but just giving an example of how the advertisement, sector actually works. If you remember Maggi noodle atta, okay, atta noodle. Yeah, instead of talking about the ratio, the composition of how the product, they actually said, इसमें मम्मी के हाथों के दो
Absolutely.
चपाती के गुण हैं,
Right,
के
right.
हाथों से बना
Uh,
हुआ दो चपाती के
Emotional
गुण
connect.
हैं. Yes, the emotional
I'll connect.
connect, it makes much easier for us to actually relate. So teaching material needs to be simplified where people start getting connected. Of course, I do understand if you're talking about some statistical measure or some, distributions or some future prediction or something, you have to use certain techniques in terms of predictive analytics and etc. There you cannot be talking about chapati and stuff, but then at least create the material in such a way that people will be connecting with it. And that is the most crucial thing. Fantastic points. So let me just show the other things. Based on all our discussion, so these are the requirements when we have to pay attention and we have to select the type of AV. One is the practice. Okay, presenters need to actually go through certain type of practice session to note down the probable challenges and rectification of the same. I have seen in cases where we are conducting the training session or we are conducting certain meeting which is outside the company premise, or maybe we have gone for a sales speech but it is in the customer's office. So the ergonomics of the session, so ergonomics of the office room where you are going to conduct the session, we need to understand. Okay, whether the AV projector is working, we need to understand. Whether we have the facilities of using certain markers and the whiteboard, we need to understand. It feels like very, trivial things to discuss, but I have seen as a trainer, when we have gone somewhere, we need to ensure that these things are not going to be impediments when we are actually conducting the training. I have also seen certain problems where there are fixed places of chairs and tables where you had in your mind that you are going to conduct some role play or some group discussions and things like that, but when you land up in that particular place, you find it looks like a kind of classroom setup perhaps. Okay, where you don't have enough space to move around, then you have to improvise. And improvisation is really nice if you have the enough experience and you know how to manage quickly, how to manipulate the situation quickly. But it is always better to be prepared in advance. That's what I believe, and I'm sure you will also agree with me. The other things are learning objective, nature of audience. We have discussed about that, size of audience. The next part is budget and sustainability. Each presenter needs to assess how much money may be spent on these audiovisual aids as per the approved budget. I have seen many trainers, many trainers, they talk about some simulation game or something like that, which the smaller companies cannot afford to do that. In that case, you have to improvise. You have to go for certain other type of tool which will be not costly. Venue, as I was telling, it is very, very important. It is always better if we go and check that in advance. So these are some of the advantages of audiovisual aids. We have discussed about that already. Please have a look. And finally, these are the limitations of audiovisual aids. Okay. So ladies and gentlemen, we will take 5 minutes time. In case you have any question, please feel free to ask. And after 5 minutes, we will move ahead and we will start a new topic. Any question? Anybody wants to ask question, you can write in the chat box. You can raise your hand here. In my system, it is showing 12:55. I'm here. Take 5 minutes time. If you want to take break also, no problem. At 1 o'clock sharp, again, we will be starting. And within this 5 minutes time, if anybody wants to ask any question, please feel free to do so. Ladies and gentlemen, I didn't see any questions, so I assume that we all are okay with the discussion so far. So with that assumption, let me move ahead and let us go to the next discussion topic, which is about the various nuances about stage fright and body language. Okay. In order to understand what is the stage fright, can anybody please be the volunteer and tell what do you mean by stage fright? Anybody?
It's a fear while speaking in front of audience on stage or giving any or executing any action.
Okay, on stage?
Not only on stage, in front of audience.
In front of audience, okay?
Uh,
Fair enough. Garima also raised the hand. Yes, Garima, go ahead.
Yes, speaking in front of too much, I mean, a big number of audience, or presenting something. Sometimes people are comfortable while speaking, or they have knowledge, or they can talk. But as soon as they, are focused, or spotlighted, they fear, and they get nervous. So this is stage fear.
So what
Okay.
is the question? Can
The question was, what is stage fright? Stage fright.
So, ma'am, this is Deepak. So, what I've observed
Yes,
is
Deepak.
if the same person is sitting with the group, so he might be able to express. But the moment his body is, I mean, he's in front of people where people can see. That's where that fright or fear comes. Till your body is not open in front of everyone. I mean, when you're not standing without anything in front of you, so that fear is not there. This is what my observation is, because sitting the person can talk, but when it comes to standing in front of the crowd or group, it's very difficult. That fear suddenly grips the entire individual, and it's difficult to express.
so for me, stage fear is the outcome of lack of preparation, lack of practice, and lack of understanding about a topic and learner.
Okay.
So in general, as a trainer, it is expected you to address the people. Now the count of people can vary. If the trainer himself or herself is not prepared well on the topic, there is a high probability he or she will get fear in front of the learner.
Okay.
So it is all about the preparation, practice of those topic and content, and even doing it as a live demo in front of maybe someone in the family, or maybe in close room in front of himself only, in front of mirror, or recording a video. That kind of thing can help to come out from this kind of fear. That's my belief. Maybe have different other variants also.
Sure.
Apart from
Hmm.
apart from preparation, the one of the most important factor is previous experience. Like sometimes previous negative consequences, like embarrassment and negative outcomes. So this can also lead to impact the future execution in front of audience.
Okay. Anybody else wants to give it a try?
So it's basically, ma'am, a kind of stage phobia or performance phobia, we can say. Many people are quite comfortable delivering the knowledge when they are surrounded by the people they are known. But when it comes to face the people who are more experienced in terms of their knowledge, who are pretty more intelligent in terms of their respective field. So when a performer who is being asked to deliver something additional to enhance their knowledge or to make a change in the experienced person's behavior, it kinds of create an anxiety within themselves. So this could be the stage fright as per my experience.
Absolutely. What the Bharti said, if I can quote it in one line, is the trainer having a fear of participant may carry the additional knowledge than the trainer.
Okay. I think Jugal has mentioned in the chat box environment also. Okay. Let us take a step back and let us try to look at our experiences as students. We are talking about again our life where we had to study and write the exam. Not always writing the exam, but think about the situation where in our childhood days or during our college life or while we are doing the study, there were certain times where we all, I'm including myself also here, where we all had to go through or pass through certain moments or certain times where there were certain requirements or demands for us to perform. That performance demand or the requirement of performance actually would have made or marred our career. That could be writing the exam, that could be winning a debate competition, maybe. That could be sitting in a group discussion. That could be, appearing in the interview. That could be giving a presentation of our summer internship project. That could have been anything. But the events were actually the events where if we fail to perform, there will be certain not so happy consequence. We all have experienced that, yeah? And that is basically the reason why people get stage fright. Ladies and gentlemen, it's about the performance pressure. It's about what we are performing, whether it is going to be acceptable or not. It is about how much I'm performing because of which my career is going to be built. It is about how much I'm performing so that I can compete and go ahead and get ahead than my other competitors. It's about how much I'm performing so that the customer is going to purchase my product. It's about how much I'm performing because of which people will be convinced about my knowledge. It's all about that. The performance pressure, be it in writing the exam, be it in standing in front of the audience. I like the points what you have beautifully mentioned. Some of the words, they are considered to be the key words, okay, in verbal communication, where you have spoken about people to be convinced. You have to stand in front of people and perform. You have to tell people what you know. You have to look at the environment of people who are sitting in front of you. They are knowledgeable, more knowledgeable than the trainer or not. All these things, if you look at, basically one thing is getting summarized, that is the performance demand, the performance pressure. What I'm supposed to perform, what is the objective of my performance? Today, for example, when I'm thinking about our session, nobody is forcing us to speak, but yet we are speaking, we are interacting with each other, we are communicating with each other, and we are trying to positively participating in the session because we have understood that this is the way the learning will be more fun and the session is not going to be so much boring. But when you will come to the position where I am right now, the situation will be a little different. It is not going to be only active participation. It's not going to be only having fun. It is also to manage the time structure in such a way that the syllabus has to be completed. I hope I have made myself clear. Just think about it for a second. Therefore, when I'm looking at a trainer's performance indicator, ladies and gentlemen, the performance indicators will be depending on what are the objective of my presentation, what are the objective of my communication. When a boss at any level, okay, let's say conducting a meeting with his team member or her team members, and some team members have achieved certain targets and some team members perhaps have not done really nice. Do you think the boss will be always feeling comfortable in actually telling the team members that, I'm little disappointed you have not achieved your target? Because if you want to do that in public, perhaps it will be not taken in a very good taste. So you don't want to do that. You want to do this in a closed environment where, the person who has not achieved the target, he will not feel humiliated in front of others. But yet, when the boss talks to the team member, he does not feel very happy about it because it takes a toll on his psyche. Similarly, when you are giving a presentation in front of your customer base or potential customers, you are having the butterfly flying inside your stomach because you are thinking that how many of your words are actually going to be impactful so that your product are going to be sold and the customer is going to place an order. Exactly, that is the reason when you are sitting for an interview, okay, for your next job, it may not be the stage where you are standing as a trainer, but still many of us, we sweat more. We feel there is a, all on a sudden there is a rush of adrenaline. Many of us actually find the palms getting little cold. Many of us having, I would say, short of breath, perhaps. Many of us become conscious the way they talk. Many of us feel that how they should maintain the eye contact with the interviewers when they're sitting in the interview. Just replace the whole situation of these interviewers with your audience. In case of
Madam,
a,
because
yeah,
you means now bought few example which is not training per se, like interview and all. I would like to ask one question.
yeah.
Then the so-called stage fear is not affected by the hierarchy. For example, the leader who talking to the ground staff or maybe the frontliner may not have that kind of stage fear then.
Um, Bharat, right?
Right, ma'am?
Yeah. Bharat, can I just come back to this? Just give me a couple of minutes. Let me just finish and then come back to you.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, right. Okay. So basically, that is what I'm trying to say. Now replace this interviewer situation or interview situation with a presentation situation where you are in front of the audience. Okay. And instead of 4 pairs of eyes or 5 pairs of eyes, now 20 pairs of eyes, 30 pairs of eyes are looking at you, and you are disseminating the knowledge, or you are expected to disseminate the knowledge. You are expected to engage the audience, and they have to learn from you. And you think that I should do my level best and get my job done as a trainer. In any situation, ladies and gentlemen, it's about the demand of performance. What I want to achieve, my performance demand, my tension to perform. Somebody was mentioning a very beautiful word, anxiety. मुझसे होगा क्या? मैं कर पाऊंगी क्या? People will understand me, right? People will acknowledge me, right? People will accept me, right? I hope I'm not doing anything wrong. I hope I'm not going to make any mistake. All these things, whatever I have just said, they all create a situation in our psychology which called stage fear. Okay. One more point also somebody has mentioned. I think it was Farhat or Jugal. I'm not able to remember. Oh, I think it is Deepak. Deepak was mentioning a very interesting point where people, when they sit and talk, they don't have so much stage fear. But when they stand in front of the people, they feel more intimidated or more open, perhaps, because people can see them, their body fully, and they can see their body language totally, and they feel that they get exposed. And that is why the stage fear comes more often when we are standing and talking to audience. Very beautiful points you have mentioned. We will continue our discussion on all these things in the next session also. But before that, let me take a couple of minutes to talk about Bharat's point. Bharat, can you please, for the interest of the other participants, can you please kindly tell what was your question?
So as we are talking, performance pressure is the cause of stage fear.
Okay.
So if a leader is addressing, let's say, the frontliner,
Uh-huh.
he or she may not have that kind of performance pressure because he's going to address people those who are frontline or maybe much lower cadre than his designation.
Okay.
So in that sense, there is no performance pressure.
Okay. Um, Technically speaking, when the boss is talking to the subordinate, we should not consider it in a situation where the stage fright will happen, technically speaking. But I am discussing here in terms of communication and presentation skill, not about only presentation skill. Okay, our paper talks about the communication part also in a macro level, macro perspective. And that is why I was giving the example of a boss talking to their team members in a meeting. So let's take your example and let's talk about it a little bit. Don't go by the technical terminology of stage fear, but try to understand when a person, the sender of a message, the sender of a communication, is trying to convey a message to the receivers. Okay, now this is our situation right now. A message needs to be encoded by the sender and it needs to be sent to the receivers so that the receivers listen to the message and act upon it. Okay, in our example, in the case where you are giving the example, there the leader or the boss is the sender of the message and the receiver is the frontliners or the employees who are going to execute the message. That is what, right? Now, if the message is not properly encoded and if the message is not properly shared and explained to the receivers, they will not understand it properly and they will not act upon it with the necessary, I would say, emergency or necessary performance level, perhaps. Okay, it is called, kind of rush of adrenaline, which will push us to perform more and more. Just take an example of, let's say, let's take an example of an IT company. Okay, the project was in the pipeline, the project has been fructified, and the boss is calling, the project leader is calling, or the leader is calling, let's say the general manager or the vice president of the particular vertical, and the boss is actually telling that this is the project which has come to our company, this is the deadline, and you have to start working on it. At that point of time, there is no fear of performance because it is just the beginning of the discussion and we know exactly, there is some deadline given to the employees and they are going to perform hopefully, and there are the line managers who are going to take care of it. The vice president is not going to actually run the show, maybe the project leader is going to run the show, but nearing to the end of the deadline, let's say on 17th is a deadline approaching and on 15th, we are yet to finish, let's say 15% or 20% of the project. At that point of time, that nice, soft, and calm voice of the project leader, of the vice president, will not do the work. There, we have to show the essential hypertension in the mind or in the voice or the tone quality of the boss, because otherwise the people who are doing the work, the project members, okay, they will not realize the consequence of not performing or achieving the target. So the project leader may be calling a meeting and say, you better be careful guys, because if we are not able to finish this, I am sure you know what is going to happen with you. In fact, it is not going to happen with you. It is going to happen with me. My job will be also at the line. So you want me to lose my job, huh? I have a child, only 3 years old. I'm going to lose my job. What is going to happen? And now slowly, the tension is going to be built intentionally. It is not stage fear, as you have rightly put, but that essential hypertension needs to be built in this way or other so that people start realizing that the situation is to be salvaged. Okay, that psychology of people needs to be understood. That is what I tried to say. Not technically correct, but in a right perspective, it works. Yes, Bharat?
Yeah, madam, I'm with you only. I'm not denying on that. Actually, my thought is not even a business discussion per se. Sometimes some kind of strategy also explained by the people, leader.
Yeah, yeah.
And they
No,
know.
in that case, there will be no fear, of course. I am with you. If it is a
Yeah.
normal situation where it is a general situation where not enough requirement for getting worried or pressure has to be built up, then yes, the fear perhaps will be not there, and it will be a casual discussion or a mundane discussion or a routine discussion. At that point of time, stage fear is not going to be coming into the picture. Yes, I'm with you. Yeah.
And there is a thought also in the mind of the speaker. Yeah, there are people who are very means designation person could not able to ask me too harsh question. That makes them comfort also sometimes.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
possible. Absolutely. In fact, many people think that I hold this position, so people will dare not ask me any question. So whatever I'll say, that will be accepted. Yes, you are right. Absolutely. Any other thought, guys?
And just to add on what Bharat said, any which ways we are talking about experience also here, ma'am. That the more experience you get, the lesser stage fright you will have. So that is how a leader who have already been gone through with such situation for many times will absolutely not have such kind of stage fright or a performance pressure on them. So that also gives an impact.
Bharti, I
Correct,
have
ma'am.
seen. Hmm. Yeah, Bharat, go
Yeah,
ahead. Go ahead.
ma'am, Jugal, I would like
Well,
to add
yeah,
one
yes.
point yeah, because see, if you see the Greek word of uh, the Greek word of confidence is confe, and the confe means knowledge. The
Hmm.
more you are having knowledge on the subject, the less fear you have. But you are sitting in front of your upper hierarchy or in front of the lower hierarchy. Say, I will give example of myself. Before 3 years, when I was new to the industry in terms of nutrition, I was having a more fear by talking to seniors or by talking to my juniors. Now, at that time, having at present scenario, when I having a more knowledge about the subject, and it is the fear is decreased. I'm being more confident while speaking to them.
Absolutely.
So it is
Absolutely.
all subject matter. How much you are perfect in your content.
Absolutely. But then it has to be
And also,
like Bharti was mentioning. Sorry, somebody is telling.
practice
Yes.
makes a man perfect. If you do something negativity in your mind and you practice to just eradicate the negativity and make it practice again and again, you can overcome this stage fright also.
This performance demand, which is basic requirement and basic reason for having this stage fear, I am absolutely in agreement with all of you guys. But there has to be a healthy combination of practice and knowledge. Only practice will not solve the problem. Only theoretical knowledge is not going to solve the problem. It has to be a healthy combination. In fact, I have seen people who are very knowledgeable, but they do not have any experience of standing and talking to people. They have huge problem of stage fear. People who are very much experienced in talking to people but lack knowledge, I have seen later on when they have to address some other type of gathering where more knowledgeable people are there they actually feel lot of problem with the stage fear. I have seen that too. So it has to be a combination of both. You should know what you're talking about. Basically, the whole idea of public speaking or presentation skill goes like this. Yes, absolutely, Bharat. Combination of knowledge and skill and experience. Okay, so when we are actually talking to people, whichever forum that would be, whichever place that would be, whichever type of audience that would be, we should be knowledgeable. We should know what we are talking about. We should have the confidence. Next is the experience. We should know how to manipulate the situation in case any situation, any point happens where we are not ready to manage the situation, to maneuver the situation, to manipulate the situation. We should know how to do that. And third is, which I personally feel is extremely crucial, that is know your audience. Okay, if we know, like in our last session, we were talking about some parts of the knowing the audience also, but I think before the first part of your this particular paper, another faculty perhaps talked to you about this. Know your audience is extremely crucial. You should know what will work there. Okay, last class, if I'm not mistaken, Smita was, I think, giving the example about the school children and how she uses the very small, simple tools and techniques to ensure that the children are engaged in learning. Okay, so similarly, we should know who are our audience and how to actually address them so that our knowledge or our message is going to be better accepted and better understood. Okay, I will stop here today. I will not continue with the other parts of the discussion, but if you guys have any question, please feel free to do so. We still have 2-3 minutes time. We can address those. Yes, Bharat, thank you. Anybody else? Any question, guys? No? So we have started talking about this stage fright. So next session, we will come back with stage fright. And then we will talk about the nuances of body language and little bit, hands-on perhaps we will try to do by showing some pictures, etc. So till then, have a nice day, guys, and I'll see you in the next Sunday. Okay?
Thank you,
Okay,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Thank
Good
you.
Thank you, ma'am.
afternoon. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you.